So in case you missed it, this week marks the beginning of National Water Week, which aims to educate the public about their responsibility in water conservation initiatives. Now, the campaign also seeks to raise awareness on the need to protect and conserve the country's water resources. South Africa has an ongoing water scarcity crisis and continues to face many water challenges, particularly in impoverished communities. To help us unpack this moment, let's bring in the Department of Water and Sanitation spokesperson, Sputnik Ratau, who joins us now via our video link. Dr. Ratau, thanks very much for your time. Great to have you on the program. Perhaps let's start with the numbers and the figures and get those out of the ways. How are we looking insofar as our water reserves are concerned in South Africa, given what many believe was a bountiful rain season?
Well, yes, it's true. It was a bountiful rainy summer season, and it has assisted us to recharge our water supply systems quite substantially. To the point where we are in the 82 to 83% of volume at the moment nationally, comparing very well and much better actually to where we were in the same period last year, where we were around the 65-66%. It has also assisted us in a number of areas that have not seen too much rainfall in the last couple of years due to the drought. Although we still have pockets of the country where we still have serious concerns about water availability.
Yeah. Help us place that 82-83% figure, Dr. Ratau, speaking broadly with the broad context in mind. I mean, it's better than last year, but how does it compare within the decade?
Within the day-to-day, it still also compares very much better, because you must remember that we are talking about those capacities in our dams. So that is water that is in storage. And water that is in storage is then transferred to the end user through our infrastructure, from our bulk through the municipalities' reticulation services where these are available. And obviously using mainly the services of our water boards as the interim that then would receive the water from our bulk and treat that water in the different water systems, and then supply those to the reticulation systems in order to be able to complete the full cycle.
So a recent report conducted by experts in South Africa apparently has found that the country might actually reach what is called physical water scarcity by 2025. What does that mean, and what are the implications?
Well, what the implications and obviously those kind of forward-looking scenarios are things that we also work upon. Remember that we do have our planning unit, which has got that basic responsibility to look at scenarios going forward. And that is why our National Water and Sanitation Master Plan looks at 2030 and beyond, because we need to be able to look forward to those times. And therefore what it means is that the demand is getting higher and higher, with the population growing at a very fast pace. Industrialization continues, urbanization continues as well. So you've got more and more people moving towards the cities where you've got most of these services, and therefore putting a strain on those services. And that is what we are looking at. But obviously our basic reason for existence as a department includes that forward planning, so that we ensure security of water supply for all water users, not just now, but also in the future.
And when it comes to our ability to reuse water, things like grey water, rainwater, etc., how do we compare at state level? Because that's certainly one of the ways to ensure that the resource stretches way further than it does currently.
We are not where we would love to be. In fact, we are almost like at the initial working steps in terms of that. That is why we have to look at reuse and recycling. And part of that includes what SALGA is trying to work with the municipalities towards. They are looking at the wastewater reclamation as the one part. And we are also looking at the issue of reclaiming and reusing grey water and wastewater. That is why it is important that our wastewater treatment plants have got to operate optimally so that the quality of the effluent that gets discharged back into the environment is such that we can be able to utilize that effluent. But that is why we're also looking at the long-term solutions to acid mine drainage, which we believe can be a huge boost to water availability, because there's a huge amount of water that is being deposited back into the environment by our mining industry. But it is not just the mining industry. We look at agriculture effluent, we look at domestic effluent as well. And as part of our master plan, we are asking the question, how much of that can be able to positively boost our water availability?
Yeah, help us understand a bit better why our wastewater systems aren't operating efficiently, as you put it.
Well, we as the regulator conduct, regulatory functions over the wastewater treatment plants, which are in the hands of municipalities. And we do find that a large number of them are not well maintained. They are not, well looked after in the simplest of terms. And that, the infrastructure funding that needs to be able to assist municipalities in terms of looking at after those infrastructure, as well as ensuring that we do have the human capacity to be able to look at that, because even if you have the money, but if you do not have the technical capacity to be able to look after that infrastructure, it will still fail. So that is why we are involved in this major work that is looking at the quality of effluent from our wastewater treatment plants that needs to be really ensured that it comes up to standard.
Yeah, and as a regulator, what is the nature of your intervention? Are people getting fired? Is there an attempt to ensure that the technical expertise you allude to does get to these municipalities? The diagnosis is clearly there. How do we fix the problem is the question.
Well, the issue of firing people is not really our responsibility, but what we do is that we then engage with the municipalities. We take them through a whole lot of intergovernmental relations engagement, but where we are not winning, we even get to the point where we bring in the court system, because the Act allows us to go that way. And obviously then the court is the final arbiter as to what must happen. But it is a number of things that we have to do. We have to make sure that when we issue the pre-directives, they are responded to positively. And our main interest is not the punitive outcomes. Our main interest is to bring, perpetrators to compliance. And if we win that war, that is more than half the battle won towards ensuring that our water ecosystems are adequately protected.
Do you get a sense that you are on the path to winning the war, though, given how much time has elapsed with this problem in place?
We are not there yet, and that is why part of what we are moving towards from the next financial year is to enhance our human capacity in terms of regulations, so that we can be able to have more and more feet on the ground that can be able to do tiniest and very much expedited regulatory work. Secondly, we are bringing back what we call the green drop reports, which are going to be able to measure, across the country, the performance of municipalities in terms of looking after their wastewater treatment plants, and measure them against one another, so that we can be able to make sure that we also share expertise, and we share best practices against, or rather within the municipal space, so that we can encourage all of these municipalities that are not complying to come to the point of complying.
Speaking about best practice, groundwater is used in some regions to try and, I guess, augment the type of reserves one would get from things like rainwater. Is that a viable, call it, channel, for lack of a better term, for South Africa to try and ensure that whatever shortfall we have is covered through the groundwater itself?
Yes, it is a viable option. It is also an option that we need to treat with a lot of care, because we need to make sure that where we do, drill those boreholes, we do not impact negatively on the environment. Remember that the groundwater that we would be accessing would also be dependent on the rains that we find or that we receive. Because once we once the surface water recharges our ecosystems on the surface, then most of that water would then also become part of our groundwater, because the additional to what the springs might be able to bring out and so on and so forth, that groundwater would also seep into the ground, the surface water rather, would also seep into the ground in order to enhance that capacity. And also what we need to do is to make sure that when we utilize that groundwater, it is also of such quality that it is not harmful to the people that use it at the end. Because if it then becomes a negative impact, then we would be regressing. But it is one of those avenues that we are utilizing already in some areas, but we are looking at bringing it more and more into play as part of rolling out our National Water and Sanitation Master Plan.
Sputnik Ratau speaks for the Water and Sanitation Department. Dr. Ratau, always great having you on. Thanks very much indeed.